Hello and welcome to BERYL Elites. I'm Maxine Hoover with the BERYL Consulting Group. Finance is a world of repeatable processes, rebalance, reports, risk runs, where determinism is a requirement. Gen AI breaks that assumption. How do you reconcile those two worlds?
That's an interesting question. And I think that it's also one of those areas where there has at least been some early pushback from quants that rely on being able to run a back test and so on. That you need to be able to say, if I run the back test now, it's going to give me the same as when I ran it yesterday and so on. So there are certain requirements in how data is available. And also you can't have too much, let's call it non-determinism in the way that you label content. But I think there's also been a little bit of a pushback on the quant side for Gen AI early days, because a lot of quants, you have these smaller pod structures, so it's small units, and they may not have the resources to really start to dig into new technologies on the Gen AI side. So it's also just been easier to discard it. Just give me data. I don't want to create data, just give it to me and I'll figure out how to extract alpha from it. But you are seeing more and more of the larger funds now tapping into and saying, hey, we need to use agents and so on to build out or modernize our research stack. But when it comes specifically to determinism or deterministic behavior, there are different ways of addressing that too. And that isn't that far as a quant, right? We have a lot of different tools in our toolbox that we can apply even to address the non-deterministic behavior of LLMs. And especially as you go more towards reasoning models, right? Then they are by construct not deterministic in behavior. But there are ways, you don't have to have determinism, you just have to converge towards it in some sense, right? And that's where you can start to look at getting more robustness out of using not just one LLM to classify or to vote on something. You use LLMs as a judge, right? So you can use it, instead of doing it once, you might do it 3 times, you might do it 5 times, and then you sort of go for the majority vote. That may give you, or that should give you, more convergence and therefore more robust classification. So if it gives you something different 10% of the time, run it 5 times, run it, X number of times, and then it's okay. It's the higher volume label that I will select. And the same goes for, we have done a lot of work around building out mind maps. As I sort of described it a little bit in the tariff use case, where we would try to do concept expansion with a mind map and look at all of these transition channels. And we would use large language models for that. You could sort of have these mind maps evolve over time by grounding these mind maps in real, let's say, news content with a reasoning model on top. But that means that there could be small deviations in these mind maps if you run it, multiple times. But then, yes, run it multiple times, right? Run it 50 times and consolidate the mind map into a super mind map that converge. And as part of our research, it was clear to see that you did get convergence when you start running these mind maps multiple times. So we are used to this thing. Like we have done ensemble techniques, we have done, Monte Carlo and, all these sort of things, and then average things out, and then you get to some answer from these types of techniques. So they can also be applied in the new space of generative AI.